The QPR RTH08 All-in-One Melter Applicator is a hand-agitated 10-gallon capacity sealant machine designed to effectively and efficiently execute small crack sealing tasks. In this operation instruction video, we will go over safety, the startup procedure, sealant loading, heat settings, and sealant application, as well as the shutdown procedure. Before operating the all-in-one melter applicator, you need to read the operator instructions. The instruction manual has valuable information that can help prevent incorrect application and possible injury if the melter applicator is used incorrectly. As with any other equipment, it is important to exercise proper safety practices. When operating the all-in-one melter applicator, always wear eye protection and wear a long-sleeve shirt. Never ignite the propane torch when it is inserted into the heat chamber, and never insert the torch into an empty melter. Do not operate the melter within 6 feet of any combustible material. To avoid flashing of the melted material, never allow the sealant to exceed 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Always have a Class B fire extinguisher available in case flashing occurs. If flashing occurs, close the melter lid and extinguish the flame with the fire extinguisher. It is important to note that water should never be used to extinguish any fire coming from the melter applicator. Remember, you are working with very hot equipment and sealant. Treat them with respect and never allow children near the operation. The following are the key components to the QPR all-in-one melter applicator: the propane bottle and the propane pressure valve, the hand torch valve, the shoe handle and locking chain, the sealant application valve operation handle, the sealant temperature gauge, the heat box inlet, the loading lid, and the sealant agitation handle. Sealant is packaged in cardboard boxes. Remove the sealant block from the carton. You will notice the sealant block is wrapped in plastic. Place the plastic-wrapped block into the all-in-one melter applicator. The plastic will melt along with the sealant. It is advisable to use a flattened cardboard sealant box and place it under the application valve while the sealant melts. This will collect any sealant that may drip through the application valve and prevent a sealant puddle on the pavement during the heating process. The all-in-one melter applicator is heated using a propane torch. To begin, check that all propane lines are tight. Open the propane bottle tank valve and set the pressure to 8 to 12 psi. Now remove the propane torch from the unit and point it in a safe direction. Open the valve on the propane torch handle and ignite the propane at the end of the torch using the supplied striker. Once the torch has been lit, adjust the valve to acquire a strong flame. Insert the lit torch into the holder just below the melter applicator. Make sure to position the torch just short of the heating chamber. If the torch enters into the chamber, the torch will be extinguished, so be sure to keep about 1/2 inch between the torch end and the heating chamber. If the torch is extinguished, allow the heating chamber to vent before inserting the reignited torch. The sealant will begin to melt within approximately 10 minutes. Use the manual agitator to assist in the melting of the sealant and to keep it from burning. Agitate 5 strokes every 2 to 3 minutes. Once the sealant block begins to melt, another block can be added. Do not melt any more than you intend to use per sealing session. Once the sealant has reached the manufacturer's recommended temperature, you can begin to apply the sealant. It is important to note that the sealant should be kept within the recommended temperatures. Failure to do so can lead to sealant adhesion failure. Sealant application is quite easy. Simply push the all-in-one melter applicator to the crack and center the application shoe over the crack. Pull back on the shoe handle and unlock the locking chain to lower the shoe over the crack. Now pull back on the sealant valve handle to open the sealant valve. Once the material begins to flow, move the melter along the crack. Moving ahead too fast will not allow enough sealant to enter the crack. Moving too slowly will cause the sealant to overflow the shoe. Try to keep the shoe about half full. If you are filling cracks that are over 1 inch deep, you might consider filling the crack twice, as the sealant will contract about 10% after it cools. If you pull the sealant valve handle back and no sealant comes out of the valve at the application shoe, and all the sealant is liquid in the melter, the valve may need to be heated to melt any sealant that may have set up in the valve. To do so, remove the torch from the heating box and heat the valve. This will melt any sealant that has set up, and the sealant flow should begin. When moving from crack to crack, raise the shoe and lock it in the up position with the locking chain. Continue to allow the torch to burn while adjusting the flame to maintain optimal sealant temperature. Add sealant as needed. Use the sealant agitation handle frequently to increase the melt rate and to keep any unmelted portion of the plastic bag away from the material spout. If any material does obstruct the spout, it can be cleaned out, but this can only be performed when the melter has cooled. To do this, follow the instructions in the all-in-one melter applicator manual and follow all safety precautions. It is also important to note that during operation, all burner box vent holes must be kept clear of obstructions. Failure to do so will affect burner operation. To shut down the all-in-one melter applicator after the day's operation, remove the torch from the heat chamber and close the torch valve. Next, close the propane bottle valve and discard any sealant you have not used. Any remaining material left in the melter applicator will not reheat well. Store the melter in a covered area, or cover the melter applicator to prevent any water from entering the material tank. Always make sure the melter has properly cooled before covering. This completes the operation instruction for the QPR all-in-one melter applicator. For any additional information, refer to your operating manual or contact your local authorized QPR representative by calling 866-274-0935 or log on to www.qprroadshop.com for more information.